What you wish to become a part of your life is coming from an unconditional source of love, which is blissful joy. So if you want to receive what you desire most, which is a loving life, it's not gonna come your way in grief, because if you think about it, if the source, the all-giving unconditional source of love would give you from grief, then the whole world would be completely chaotic, because there's a lot of people in grief, carrying a lot of sorrow, sadness. And if we would be rewarded feeling sorry for living, it would be completely contradicted to life itself. So you can dream of better things. You can create as to support that dream. You can practice believing. You can reinforce your belief in your dream and your own creation, creating yourself. And you can believe so much that you eventually don't have to believe anymore. And that's faith, because it's letting go in resting assured that things are coming your way as you have dreamt, and as you have created, and as you have supported and done everything that you can as to create yourself. But when the time, the gap is prior to anything being manifested, you cannot feel sorry. You cannot feel sorrow. You cannot long for love and a solution, a better way of life from sadness, from grief. It's just not gonna happen. If you meet a partner, for instance, in grief, this will be the foundation that you connect together with. And that is something that you can work with together as to release, becoming healed. You can heal each other from communicating and going through the emotions together, which is all about grieving what you have lost, grieving the past. Because if you are in grief, in sorrow, in sadness, it means that the past is still with you. But what you desire and what you long for is to receive the new, the all new. You want a new chapter. You want a new page of life. You want a second chance. You want a global reset. You want the love. You want your desire, your pure desire of love, which cannot happen in grief. And that is not only for somebody who wants to meet a new partner, a life companion. It is also for a nation who wants to see a better world, a better society for everybody. So what is needed is to heal, and that is not being in grief, holding on to sorrow and sadness, which is a choice, because that's actually the role of the victim. And I'm not saying that in any condescending way. It is what it is. But to be humble, honest in relation to yourself, and actually make it okay to experience all of the sorrow and sadness and actually grieve, actually go through it, actually letting go of the past to embrace the new. It's the same expression for a group of people in a country, in a city, as it is for one person desiring the same thing, which is love. Everything is love. Everything is created by a non-conceptual source of unconditional love, which is all giving, non-judgmental, and does not have the possibility to question anything. So why things aren't happening and things aren't coming and becoming a part of your experience is because you question yourself and you communicate to the source with your general state of feeling, and you get a universal non-judgmental response, which becomes your experience. So it's not enough to say that, well, I don't carry grief. It's not okay. It's not functional to life itself. Life won't have it. It's life, love is one and the same thing. So it knows, and your heart is all about love. So your heart knows. So you need to talk to your heart and stop thinking. Stop to rationalize and to skip and trying to get to a solution which is mending and not actually healing. It's more of a numbing solution instead of actually dealing with what is holding you back, which is resistance. Life is effortless, and everything we desire comes to us naturally, actually. But we resist change, and we do that in lack of humility and actually taking emotional responsibility as to heal the past. When we do that, the future comes. The future and the new is not the next day. It's not like that. Everything is energy, and you communicate some form of energy expression, a general state of feeling, which you get a universal non-judgmental response from, which becomes your life. So you cannot run from yourself. You cannot lie to yourself. You need to be honest, and you need to actually listen to your heart and allow for all of the resistance to be expressed. And if you have sorrow, sadness, anger, resentment, anything in relation to something or someone, then that's an attachment. And as long as that attachment is there, you will not be able to let it go. So that's why it's so important to understand the circumstances and see the bigger picture, which makes you come to forgiveness. And when you come to forgiveness, you actually wish for all to have a good life. You wish for all to live well and to live in love and to just have a good life, to have a good time. So that is actually freedom. That's freedom for you, that's freedom for me, that's freedom for all. Just letting things go, which is super hard for the rational, judgmental mind if some form of condemnation exists, because that's the attachment itself. And why that attachment is still around is because of some form of justification, which can only be solved by understanding, which is not rational and logical. It is emotional. You need to be compassionate. And from compassion, we loosen the tight grip of the judgment, and we do not laugh at it. We do not dismiss it as not being real or serious, but we see the cosmic humor of it, like Ram Dass used to say, because things aren't that serious. Life can have serious consequences for real. People get murdered or raped or whatever. But this is necessary evil because we don't listen. We are not humble, and these things happen. And we carry a lot of grief, which is connected to anger. And all of that is about betrayal, because we are betraying ourselves in relation to our true nature, because love is what we is. And then we have a body and a personality. So we are actually arguing with our own true nature from the inside out, which makes for a world of conflict projected from our own inner environment becoming our outer environment in frustration as the pressure builds up as to make us aware and feel what is actually going on inside of us. But when we don't take responsibility for it ourselves, to be mature enough to be brave and to allow for healing, war happens, divorce happens, conflict on the outside happens. So it's really important to grieve, to allow for grieving. And when you do that without judgment, when you have understood the bigger picture from a grand perspective, you forgive, but the heart knows, and the heart is hurt and needs to process the sadness, the sorrow, the anger, everything, but not attached to anything anymore. Just as is. Just crying it out. Just feeling that sorrow, but not thinking about anything. Just letting it out. Because we cannot receive what is meant for us by holding on to the past. I love you. Cry, please.